Welcome to Behind the Catch Fence. I'm your host, David Hoffman. The NHRA season is in full swing, and we're just finishing up two straight four-wide races in Las Vegas and Charlotte. It's a monumental weekend for Top Fuel as it was the category's 1,000th event. Now, joining us today, fresh off his second win of the season and the all-important 1,000th race in Top Fuel, is Kalitta Motorsports' Shawn Langdon. Shawn, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Glad to have you on. Obviously, big weekend for you guys. Winning the four wide there in Charlotte. How would you describe this that entire weekend and just the emphasis on it being Top Fuel's 1,000th race?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a great event, great opportunity. Having some of the legends out there that have won in the previous milestones, being a part of the event. But yeah, it was a pretty cool feeling coming around the corner after the final and getting presented the trophy by Big Daddy Don Garlits. That was a pretty neat opportunity for me. Definitely a pinch me moment for me.
You mentioned with Don Garlits, and it's, obviously you said it was like kind of like a pinch me moment to have him there, and obviously knowing his history and being the first ever guy to win a Top Fuel race, and kind of him sort of give you the trophy in a way, to be the 1,000th Top Fuel winner. I mean, what does that mean to you? And I'm assuming you're probably going to be remembering that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like it's a pretty big milestone. It's weird because it's like, before the event, I didn't think much of it really. It was kind of like, okay, it's a thousandth race. But for me, my mentality's a little bit different. Like I really treat every race the same. I treat a test run like I do a final round. Just, I feel like I'm always in the same temperament no matter what the situation is. I just feel like it's my way of kind of um, getting prepared for a championship run in a sense to where you get in those moments of final rounds or racing for championships and you've been so prone to treating every race or every run the same that you don't really get up for a moment or you don't get nervous because you just treat it like any other run. So I kind of had that temperament going into the weekend, but obviously it kind of changes the weekend went on because um, you know I guess kind of seeing all the legends there and all that. But yeah, I mean, after the fact, it was definitely one of those moments. Like now, looking back at I've had a couple days to reflect on it, and I think for me, I feel like it's a like I said, pinch me moment um, where it's like I feel like 1 second I was a young kid in California racing junior dragsters, and then I blink my eyes, and next thing I'm getting presented a trophy by Big Daddy Don Garlits in a winter circle with Connie Kalitta, hosting a thousandth Top Fuel event trophy is, it's kind of like I don't know how I ended up here. It's it, but it's definitely pretty cool, pretty amazing to be a part of history like that.
I'm curious, you mentioned it's, you kind of get into the same temperament, that same mode, so then no race kind of feels different regardless of how the ramifications are. Did that happen naturally for you in your career, or did that kind of take a couple times of, having to reset yourself, when you were younger in your career?
Honestly, I think I got that temperament from being a kid playing baseball. Because I remember playing little league, and it was always like I get so mad when I wouldn't have like if it was a close game, and I get so mad if I didn't have the ball like in the bottom of the sixth, in little league 6 innings you play. But I'm like, give me the ball. I want the ball. Like I'm gonna strike all these guys out. We ain't gonna lose this game. Like, and I always felt like but I liked those moments. I always felt like I thrived in those moments because I fed off of adrenaline. Like I loved going to amusement parks. I loved riding motorcycles. I loved adrenaline. And I felt like my adrenaline would get going if I held the baseball in the bottom of the last inning. And so I really felt like once I got into drag racing, those were those moments where it's like you kind of race and you race the races, and then you get in the moments where it's like, okay, like this round means something, and then you get the adrenaline, but then it's like I kind of like that feeling. I like that adrenaline. I like that little bit of butterflies in your stomach, not sure what's going to happen. Like, this is a big moment in my life. Like, this could make or break me, and I just felt like I kept feeding off of those, and so I like those. I love those moments. But I kind of felt like as time went on, it's you don't always get those moments, so it's kind of you just want to prepare yourself the best you can for those moments. So I felt like a lot of people, you get in big situations, but you don't know what to do. You just and you're so worried about being in the moment and not giving the moment away and not making a mistake that you forget what got you there. And I always felt like I thrived off of that, of being prepared, always preparing myself to be ready for those situations when they presented themselves.
And obviously, it seems like yourself and all of Kalitta Motorsports has really kind of been prepared for the season starting off. Obviously, Doug and yourself have been, I mean, arguably probably the more consistent cars in Top Fuel this year. Just how has the team as a whole been able to dial in and sort of have that consistency to kick off a year?
Well, I mean, you just really have a great team. I mean, with Connie Kalitta gives us all the resources in the world to whatever it takes to win races, and then it's just hiring great people. We hired a couple of years ago, went and hired Alan Johnson, and he went to go crew chief on Doug's car, and brought Brian Hughes in, and Brian Hughes crew chief on my car, and it's just elevating the team, hiring the right people, surrounding yourself with good people, good, motivated, hardworking people. And I really feel like not only do we have a great group at Kalitta Air, but we have a great group at Kalitta Motorsports of just good, hardworking people that want to be successful. And so it's just, winning, success breeds happiness. And so obviously everyone's jiving, everyone's getting along, everyone's doing great. I mean, everyone wants to be ready for the next thing. And it's just a matter of taking, the success that we've had in the last couple of years and growing it and working with our partners, working with the sponsors, and just growing the whole team and just making yourself better along the way.
And last year, you guys were obviously really in it till the end, so it didn't work out in your favor. But what were you able to take from those moments last year and apply it to this year?
I think a lot of it last year's it was, for Brian being first year as a crew chief was trial and error. Um, so he just, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So he would get in situations and just kind of winged it, and it worked out a lot more times than it didn't. Um, but he also too very successful, very talented crew chief, and he does a really good job of preparing himself. I feel like him and I have a lot of that temperament of preparing yourself for the situations to be ready for the situation, so you're not shocked by anything. And he's done a good job of working with the guys and getting the team prepared for that too. So it's just been a good fit, and obviously last year, it was a tough ending, but I really felt like you know the situation was what it was. Um, Looking at Pomona, we still had an opportunity going to Pomona to win the championship, and it didn't work out in our favor. But I feel like this year's the year. This is our year to get it done.
And with this class, it just seems like it only gets tighter from top to bottom. You guys are constantly having to be on your toes. From a driver's perspective, how do you balance just that line of being aggressive but also not over pushing it, and then something happens or you mess up the getting off the line or something. How is it to kind of stay on top of those competitors, knowing that they're going to bring their A game, the teams are going to bring their A game, and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you don't want to get too wrapped up in what other people got going on, but you do keep in mind of kind of where other drivers are on reaction times and where other cars are performance wise. Because there may be scenarios that you may run someone that's kind of running on a little bit of a hot streak, and their car's running well, so you might have to change your uh, caliber of performance a little bit to, maybe make the car run a little better, or as a driver, step up the starting line a little bit more. So, but for the most part, you really just feel like you race the track for what it is on that particular run, and do the best job that you can you don't want to get caught up in so many different scenarios that you're not even worried about what you have going on. So a lot of it's just focus on yourself, focus on your team, focus on your car, and just do the best job that you can. With this small 10% of, keep in mind of who you're racing, be cognizant of the situation of, you know, do we need to be really aggressive here or do we need to just get down the track?
Now we're heading into, the summer months here pretty soon. I'm curious, with it only getting hotter out, do you have to adjust your driving style at all when it comes to just these more hot, slick conditions, or how does that kind of work for you guys as you get into like the summer months?
Yeah, I mean, obviously from a crew chief standpoint, the hotter tracks, less grip, so you got to definitely tiptoe the car down the track a little bit more. And then the drastic changes of from Friday night where you're going to want to make a really good run to get probably top 8 in qualifying to back it down so much on Saturday, Sunday because of, 85, 90-degree weather with 130, 140-degree track temps. So there's big swings versus when you're in the early spring of where, you have cloud cover and the track's good and the track's tight, just like it was Friday night, it would be on Sunday. So, and a little, yeah, quite a bit too from a driving style, more on the perspective of pedaling a race car, of if it smokes the tires, you definitely have to drive the car um, a little more gingerly on hotter conditions than you would on cooler conditions.
And final question for me, just even though you're leading the point standings right now, is there anything that you guys are still maybe working on making sure that it's as right as it can be, not only for summer, but then as countdown comes?
Yeah, yeah, obviously. Yeah, I mean, it's we have a pretty good handle on what we have going right now, we feel like, but yeah, there's definitely parts, pieces that come into play, parts fatigue. So you're cycling parts in and out of the car. A big thing is clutch disc. So those are things that you want to definitely be, you want to have a sufficient amount of clutch disc for, your particular application for the countdown. So, yeah, we'll be kind of, maneuvering things around throughout the season and maybe trying some things here or there. But for the most part, I feel like we have a pretty good handle on what we're doing right now. And I mean, the car's been responding very well. So it's kind of a little bit of one of those things of if it's not broke, don't fix it type of scenario. But it's also like you can't stay stagnant for too long because you'll definitely get passed up by the competition.
Well, Sean, I appreciate you taking the time. Congrats on the win again, and hopefully the rest of the year goes smoothly, and maybe you guys will be hoisting another championship trophy.
Yeah, thank you.